It was a pretty thought-provoking gospel today, wasn't it? Jesus, will many people be saved or only a few? And Jesus, typically, refuses to directly answer the question. Instead, he urges us all to strive to enter the narrow gate, for that is the way to heaven. Okay. What does that mean? What is this whole narrow gate business really all about? Well, I did a little research on this part of the gospel, and it turns out Jesus is actually referring to the Sermon on the Mount. That's where he was talking about the Beatitudes. So in that gospel reading, Jesus suggests that there are 8 doors to heaven. The 8 Beatitudes. Blessed are the poor in spirit, the meek, the peacemakers, the persecuted, etc. So now in this reading, he's kind of reiterating the message that the narrow gate to heaven is striving to live out the Beatitudes in your life. And Jesus immediately follows that up by saying that a lot of people will try to do that but not have the strength to follow through. I think I understand where Jesus is coming from when he said that, because on the one hand, everyone is capable of living out the Beatitudes. They are truly all-inclusive. But on the other hand, not everyone is going to be able to put in the work and the patience to make that really work. Because the wide gate, the gate that does not lead to heaven, is, of course, significantly easier to enter. And I think we all know what that wide gate is. Money, power, status, and influence. Because don't we all have somebody in our lives who's trying to buy their way into heaven, as if their money will save them? And don't we have somebody in our lives who truly believes that they will finally be happy in life once they become powerful enough or successful enough? Come on, just one more promotion at work and then I'll finally be happy. Sorry to break it to you, but that doesn't work. None of those things are actually the key to happiness. The wide gate, it doesn't really lead anywhere. The narrow gate is what moves us on in life. So, if you think about it, what we're talking about here is actually the big difference between authentic religion and false religion. Authentic religion, of whatever creed or denomination, is about helping us meet God through humility, patience, peace, and mercy. That's what it's all about. That's the whole point. And false religion depends on quick fix solutions. They tell you that you can make your problems go away if you pay enough money. They say that you can buy spiritual favors, as if that makes any sense. And I'll tell you, we got to watch out for that. We have to be on guard for that sort of thing because we're Catholics. And 500 years ago, the church let people pay for spiritual favors in the form of indulgences. It did not work out well for us. I would like to believe that we have learned our lesson in that way. The other thing that false religions have a tendency to do is tell you things like, your unhappiness is the fault of other people, so let's blame them for everything. In both of those cases, I would call that easy answers religion. And easy answers religion are fun at the moment, but they don't work. Long term, they don't work because we need more in life than easy answers. To give you a kind of a more of a lighthearted example of what this looks like. This was actually a plot point for some fiction I was reading a while back. So there was this group of adventurers. This is a fantasy setting, by the way. And this group of adventurers stumbled upon an island of orcs. And they needed to be friendly with the orcs because they needed to trade with them for much needed supplies. So they do the diplomacy thing and they talk and one thing leads to another. And it turns out these orcs really missed having a religion. They had one many years ago and they lost it somehow. I don't know how that happened. So when they heard that, one of the adventurers, not one of the smarter ones, said, "Oh, well, that's an easy problem to fix. You all can from now on worship my hand puppet. His name is Banjo the Clown, god of hand puppets." And he's got a little banjo in his hand, so it makes sense. And all the orcs thought that was so funny. It was so hilarious. They immediately dressed up like Banjo. They started building an altar for him. And then one of the other adventurers, who was actually religious, he finally chimes in and goes, "Hang on, whoa, stop. Guys, you don't need to do that. You can worship God for real because he is your God as much as anybody else's. And all you have to do is renounce your evil ways and make reparations for those you've harmed in the past." And the orcs go, "Ooh, that doesn't sound fun at all. Reparations for those we've wronged in the past sounds like a lot of work. But Banjo, god of hand puppets, teaches us that we can solve all of our problems with a pie-eating contest." And then all the orcs went and had a pie-eating contest. And that was how that chapter of the book ended. I am fully aware that that is a silly example. Obviously, a pie-eating contest cannot solve all of your problems. It can solve like 5, tops. But I wanted to share that story because I actually think it's a pretty accurate take on how people see this stuff. Most people love religion, as long as they don't have to do anything or give anything up. But the tricky thing about religion, which, for the moment, let's define it as a way of living your faith in your life. The tricky thing about religion is it doesn't come alive without that work and sacrifice. That's where its power really comes from, the devotion, the dedication. That's what gives it meaning and identity, really. With a pie-eating contest, you can feed your face, but it won't feed your faith. Real spiritual growth takes a lot more than that. We are all meant for heaven, all of us, but it will take humility. And it takes courage to look inside yourself and admit that you don't have it together as much as you might think. We need to depend upon God sooner or later. And really, that's what we're talking about today. That, in a nutshell, is the narrow gate. When Jesus talks about the narrow gate, he's talking about depending on God, recognizing our need for God at the expense of our pride and our ego. All 8 Beatitudes are somehow shaped by that idea. I will repeat myself. Everyone has the potential to live out the Beatitudes. But there are many who will not follow through with that essential step. And if we can't manage that essential step of trusting in God and be willing to work with God, well, then all that's left ahead of us is the wide gate of false promises and get-rich-quick schemes. So let's all strive to enter heaven through the narrow gate by living out the Beatitudes in our lives.